May unmute ourselves right there because for whatever reason I need to separate those layers, and I don't know how that happened, but the most recent OBS update kind of combined some things, and that's never a good sight. But ladies and gentlemen, I gotta tell you right now, gotta preface you with some things. No backstage, no prep, straight into it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you another thing, another quick secret. We're only gonna have a 2-hour show today. I know. It's half of what you would usually get on a living split screen. And because of that, and because of some other things that have happened behind the scenes, I will upfront, I am going to hold off on the Series S giveaway. I'm going to do it next weekend. So we can have a good
show and everything.
Nothing, hopefully on my end, things clear up too. So, it'll make everything. I just haven't had time to do research on good pickers and things like that. And I wanted it to be as fair as possible. So gives you guys another week to get the information out there. I think I'm also going to go pretty hard this week. I might clip the shit out of today's video if I can. I think I got it working the way that it should be. Before it was causing lag and other weird things to happen. But I think that it's good to go. Tested some things out last night. Still having some issues recording gameplay while streaming, especially very intensive games. And it might just been Avatar that was causing some problems, because Avatar is not an easy game to run. It's pretty well optimized, but it has a lot going on. So there's that. But I wanted to give you guys that up front. 2-hour show, so we're gonna get straight into business. You are locked in right now with Living Split Screen, the home of that RTS perspective. That's that real-time strategy where you pull yourself out of the world, look at the darker crevices of the map, pull those resources together so you can not only build up our own foundation, but build up that foundation to reach those 3 billion gamers that Phil Spencer always talks about. Speaking of Phil Spencer, I think Xbox showed some interesting things this week at the Game Awards. Also, speaking on Xbox, man, it's crazy how we all of a sudden are in this weird twilight zone of, I don't know if this game's going to be exclusive or not. Not only that, do they even deserve a game like that? They're not going to do nothing right with it. Arkane, who wants Arkane to work on another game? I'll tell you guys. I think we got some interesting things to say, but nonetheless, let's get to it. I'm one half of the dynamic duo Steel Rain. That's I, Steel Rain I. That's He's a 7 everywhere. Find me on the streets of X, or Twitter as it's called, and the Xbox ecosystem, just because it just works so well in tandem between PC and the console itself. But enough of me. I gotta get you to the uncanny gentleman himself. I feel like it's been a while since I've done this intro, and I gotta get back to it. My guy, the X-Man that is not Cyclops, the brother from another, the man who was working on Jean Grey, still in the background. It's when the Rise of the Phoenix gets a little hot, man. You gotta be careful. So, nonetheless, my guy Pong. So, how you feeling, brother, man?
I'll take those burns.
Oh shit!
Because I can fix her.
Okay.
I can fix her. Steel, Dark Phoenix, and all. Fix Jean Grey. Let's go. Oh man, what a day to be back again. Yes, folks, it is my fault. We are going to have a 2-hour show today. Again, apologies up front to those of you that love Steel and I doing 2 to 3 shows in one sitting, but we are going to have a normal quote unquote show today for the majority of podcasters out there because I've got to go visit family. Dad's in town. He has early Christmas party when he shows up from Florida. And so we are doing that today. So I'm going to be doing white elephant gifts, listening to all the amazing Christmas jingles and eating good today. So I'm looking forward to that, but I am going to, like I was telling Steele, today's not the day if I could pick one to do a shorter show because we got a lot to talk about. The video game awards were amazing this week. Outside of that, gaming wise, it's been a weird week. I've just been grazing a bunch of the stuff that's dropped into Game Pass. I even did some solo World of
Warcraft.
No, not World of Warcraft. Not World of Warcraft, Z.
World War Z?
Yeah, World War Z.
Really?
Popped into that. Yeah, popped into that. Did a little solo of that. I want to check out the Aftermath stuff, and they changed things up. I've played it before when it was in Game Pass too. I like the game. I think the game is really cool. As a Back for Blood type game and that kind of stuff. I enjoy those games, and I think this one's really dope. I love the mobs of zombies. They can get pretty damn intense. AI bots are okay. They're serviceable, so it's actually decent playing. I wouldn't certainly say you can't crank up the difficulty level on those levels. Otherwise, your AI isn't going to be able to keep up. But again, I don't mind playing those games solo sometimes. So I checked that out a little bit. Had a good time there. Again, for anybody who doesn't know, it did drop into Game Pass again with the Aftermath expansion on it. So it's optimized for Series X and S, plays well, runs well. It's cool, man. Tons of characters to choose from. They got a huge characters. It's got to be like 20 plus characters to choose from. You can customize them. Some of it does cost real money. Of course, it's monetized. But,
of course, yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, man, I did that. SteamWorld Build, rocking that a little bit. Really loving that game as well. Having a great time with that one. Otherwise, a little bit of Starfield, of course, still in my bag there. And then otherwise, I've been falling asleep and to some Miami Vice. That's right. GTA 6 got my Florida nostalgia up, and of course it's Miami Vice. Of course, Vice City being my favorite Grand Theft Auto. So after that trailer, I was like, I'm gonna go back and rewatch Miami Vice. Let's do it. So thanks to Tubi, I can watch all the episodes of Miami Vice. So getting my Crockett and Tubbs on. So yeah, that's been my week still. Not over the top exciting. Diablo 2, Diablo 4. I've been doing a couple short sessions in there. Actually been picking up really nice runs in the Blood Harvest. I've actually upgraded a couple more items on my build, and I've been doing the grind to get the Nightmare Dungeon grind. So I've been doing that as well. Trying to get my abilities up a little bit in the skill trees, and yeah, man, just been having a good time still overall. So kind of normal week for me. Nothing out of the blue.
That definitely sounds
you've been doing much more than me. Yeah, you've been doing much more, man. Because you got Avatar, man. You've been rocking the hell out of that. You tried the day before, Steele. Come on, tell everybody what's been going on.
I've done a few things for sure. Yeah. So to start off with, Decado, member for 4 months, it says, "Oh, let it begin with Psycho." And what he means by that is Psycho came through and dropped the fiver with the 5 memberships in there. So shout out to everybody that got the memberships rolling.
Let's go. Hold on, Steele. Let's do this. Choo motherfuckers. Choo motherfuckers. That's right. The subtrain rolls through Fun Speculation Network and comes right in on a Saturday morning to Living Split Screen. There's no stopping it. This is how the subtrain in this community rolls, because Psychonauts, he went into the suitcase and he said, you know what? I'm going to be traveling today, and I want to travel on the Living Split Screen subtrain. I want to help people become a part of the Splitters. That's right. So Psychonauts looked in his suitcase and he said, I've got the 5 bomb for all of you. Choo choo, motherfuckers. That's right. But not to be outdone. Not to be outdone. The one and the only amazing Decado says, you know what? I like more people on this train too. Wink, wink. I like full trains. Wink, wink. So guess what? Yeah, that's right. We can give a big pause with a pause bomb because Decado rolls on in here and drops 20 bombs, 20 bombs, 20 tickets for people to enjoy the ride on this Mach 1.5 approaching 2 sub train today. That's right. A Saturday morning for y'all. Bro, we are shoveling coal into that furnace and getting this train hyped. So guess what, y'all? Thank y'all. Appreciate you all for the bombs. Again, if you're just lurking, that is fine. We appreciate lurkers. We appreciate anybody joining us on a Saturday morning. If y'all can hit that like button, wink, wink, and hit that share button, wink, wink, that also helps the channel move along as we approach gaming goodness. Nirvana's right on the other side, folks. Let's keep the subtrain rolling. Appreciate y'all. Choo choo, motherfuckers. All right, Steel.
That's a big fact. That is a huge fact. When you throwing the motherfucker in there, I think it's made it extremely hilarious. It had me fucking crying. I thought you were just kind of just off your rocker. You just had enough of the shit that you had going on, and you just took it to the next level. And it's like,
hey man, we use the energy where we get it from, right? Steel, positive, negative, it don't matter. We're gonna take it, use it.
Fuck it. I wanted to say, well, fuck it, when we were doing the Game Awards that. We need to pass that off to Samuel L. Jackson so he can say it, so I can hit that bitch every time. So
yeah,
I can be like, choo choo, motherfucker.
See, this is what happens, Steel. The energy is addicting to people, right? The energy is addicting to people, even when it's over the top like this. That's right. You want to know what? You don't want to know who's addicted? Decado's addicted to dropping fucking bombs on us this morning. That's right. Decado comes back, says, yo, you thought that first 20 was cool? You thought that first 20 sub train nuke was enough? No. It's never enough, folks. It's never enough. The sub train is unlimited capacity. We're adding more cars as we go. The more people hopping on the splitters. That's right. If we got to add another caboose, we'll add another damn caboose. It don't matter because Decado rolls up in here. Choo choo, motherfucker, with another 20 bomb for y'all. Welcome to the splitters. This is how we do. Oh, and not to be done. Not to be done. The man from across the pond decides to show up. That's right. The one and only Wandering Dutch. He found a 5 bomb as well to add to this incredible run. Because guess what, folks? I feel it. You know what I feel, Steel? I feel it. I feel it, Steel. I feel it that nobody wants advertising to show up on the Living Split Screen channel. And if you don't want advertising, we got to hit our monthly goal. Our monthly goal for the splitters is 696 Steel right now. 696. Oh, I just like them numbers this morning, folks. So hey, 696 it is. In there, I'm good. 696 for the month. Let's do this, everybody. Thank you, Wandering Dutch. Thank you, Decado. Thank you, Psychonauts, for bringing the bombs this morning and getting the sub train rolling. We are definitely approaching Mach 2, folks. Approaching Mach 2 to the gaming nirvana. Get on board. Let's go.
Hey, don't worry. I mean, all the memberships that you're giving out is going to everybody else who isn't here today. So just be ready. They're going to get an email and they're going to come on back and be like, look, Decado just handed out Living Split Screen memberships. Come in, drop those RTS emotes, drop the ECP emotes, get crazy in chat, listen to the hype train that is starting right now, and just go from there. You know, I try not to get too excited about it, but
I wish the email would say on the subject line, choo choo, motherfucker. I think that would get everybody.
It would. It definitely would. I need to figure out a way to get our membership to say that. Every time that they join, they get a direct email that says choo choo, motherfucker. That's what brings you back. That's what brings you back.
Love you. I love you all. Really, really love you all.
I'm glad that you guys get the play that we do and the energy that we bring there. So I greatly appreciate that. Yeah. Sith Lord with the $2 said, "Woo! What a great way to end the year 2024. Here we come."
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely,
yes, Sith. We're going to talk about it, man.
Yeah,
man,
69 is the goal for sure. Yeah. As long as we hit 69, that's all that matters. Why
That'll
so
just be
serious?
A permanent goal for our channel. That's it.
Yeah, there you go.
It'll never change.
Why so serious says I can't accept I have a hacked YouTube. Oh God, here we go. he's out here jailbreaking YouTube. We used to do that back in the day. That's how we used to get premium. You didn't have to get it, you actually pay for it. But anyway. So what have I been into this week? Yeah, I have been definitely into a few things here. Starting with, I think the week started off with me jumping into Warzone. Coming off of last week, new Warzone 3. The new Warzone came out, Warzone 3. They brought all the movement mechanics and everything into the new into Warzone. And it's feeling better than it did previously. Since the tuning and stuff isn't there. Hey, Smear mentioned
you posted a dummy. No. Fanto posted on X. He retweeted our link to YouTube and he goes, "Choo choo, motherfuckers."
No, that's great. That's good.
Yeah, I saw you post your W, man, early.
Yeah.
You hopped into Warzone, man.
It was my second.
Shit.
It was my second Warzone match. I hadn't played Warzone in a bit, and again, not
you were smoking people.
And I was just moving around, man. Just having.
I know you were just playing the game. Just playing the game.
I was just playing the game. Just feeling stuff out. It's feeling good. Again, it's definitely going to be in my rotation. I think I'm gonna have to make a choice though. I get this other good game in my rotation now. That came off the heels of the Game Awards actually, and was announced that same night, known as the finals. I jumped in there for a match or two last night. And since the beta, and man, it definitely feels better than it did during the beta. I was having a lot of fun with it, catching bodies in there too. And yeah, man, they changed the numbers to where when you could play the other modes, the ranked mode, and there's another mode that's similar. Now you got to play, I think the first one is you got to play 12 matches of quick match to get it to even unlock it, which is fair, which is good because you want people to understand the concepts of the game, how they set up. And then the other mode, like the real ranked mode, actually requires you to run like 80 games.
Ooh,
before you can play ranked.
Really?
Yeah.
80?
I think that's the number. I could be a little high on that.
Wow.
Maybe at least 40, but it's a solid number. So from what I got, I mean, I don't necessarily mind that because I think what they're trying to do, and it's something that I've always spoke to in the past. If you want people to be decent coming into ranked, you have to give them the actual experience of the game and kind of Overwatch kind of started doing the same thing where it's like, hey, you got to play this many games to unlock ranked. And then when you unlock rank, by that time, you should have a bit of a better idea, because the problem was before is that when you leave it open, you have these level 1 people coming into ranked, and it's like, dude, you just started playing the game. Why are you here? Right? So it can make it a really bad experience, especially if you're a competitive player, where you're trying to, again, most of the time in those types of games, especially in PvP, the goal is to win in the best way possible. Teamwork, whatever is required. And it's hard to win if you got people that don't understand the basic concepts of the game. So, Knicks, I did play the day after tomorrow. The day after tomorrow was the quickest refund that I've ever done on Steam.
The day before, you mean?
I mean, yeah, the day before. Sorry,
the day after tomorrow is a movie.
That is a good movie. No, the day before. Sorry, it was so bad I don't even remember the name. I know I called this something different for the title of the show today, but
yeah.
Give me a second here. I did play the day before, and it is unfortunate that everybody was right. It is extremely unfortunate that all the people that were doubting these guys said that their previous games didn't release in the best state, and this one is probably not going to release in the best state. They were right, man. I would not tell anybody to invest $40 into this game. Matter of fact, I don't even think the game's worth $10 right now where it stands. Now, if you want to support the devs to possibly at some point get a good game, then sure. But from what they have and what they've done up to this point, I just don't think it's worth it at all. I'm not even willing to support them from what they've brought to the table because, Pong, how would you feel if you were pitched one game and got something that was completely different? Matter of fact, it is stripped and bare bones and looks nothing like what they showed.
You know how I would feel, Steel? You know how I freaking would feel? I would feel like going to a show like Living Split Screen and dropping another freaking 10 bomb. That's right, Wandering Dutch comes in here to keep the train rolling, Steel. That's how I would feel. Choo-choo, motherfuckers. Choo-choo. That's what I would tell the devs, Steel.
like I had to throw that volley up there because I saw that. So
thank you, Wandering Dutch. Appreciate you, brother. But no, Steel, I this is why I wanted you to play the day before. This is why I was glad you guinea pigged it, because I knew you would be able to, really kind of just look at it from that view and say, you know what, this is ready or this is not ready. And I think you've got a great point that they should have made this a beta and let everybody try it for free and work through some of the stuff from what you were saying. I was watching other people on Twitch play it as well, and I kind of got that feeling. Again, it didn't look like awful. Now, obviously, the experience that you're talking about. Yeah. No, it doesn't look like the trailer. And I didn't expect it to look like the trailer. I knew that was bullshit. But I think that overall, again, the world being empty is what caught me off guard right away. Like I was watching people and I saw maybe 3 zombies between about 4 or 5 different people that were wandering through the city. And I was like, this is not that. Maybe what is this game? It's a collector game. You're going around collecting trash. Like that's the basis of this game. And I've heard also, Steel, that they started removing the MMO references from the Steam descriptors. So
it's not an MMO. Just because you see people in the lobby or before you go out into the open, it's not that. It's not what was pitched. I thought it was going to be similar to Division, maybe more open where we could drive around, go to different areas. No, man. It's really bare bones. Again, I wish that I could have an actual city experience. I couldn't get out the doctor's office. I spent about 15 minutes in there, and no matter what I did, mind you, and that was after I found out that the controller support, quote unquote, that they said that was going to be there didn't work. So that was already a first turn off for me because I am not playing games, mouse and keyboard. I don't care what anybody tells me. Maybe down the line one day when I want to be when a game really proves to me that I have to play mouse and keyboard or whatever, I've never felt that I needed to. So take that for what you want. Because I didn't want to play mouse and keyboard, because the game specifically stated, because I asked in their Discord, hey, is there going to be full controller support? And all facets said yes. I download this game, I load in. The only thing that works is my 2 analog sticks, and nothing else works. There's no button layouts. I can't set up anything. I tried to use an external program. That didn't work either. It didn't feel intuitive. It was complete garbage. Do not my number one annoyance with things is do not tell me one thing and then I get this product and it's something completely different, especially when it comes to gaming. I'm not the guy to sit here and write all the negative reviews and all that shit. I just don't do that. I'll refund the game and move on. I thought it was interesting. I didn't mind being a guinea pig, putting my ducats down for it, but man, was it depressing. It made me, I would rather just go play Division again. The Rogue-lite, the Division got a Rogue-lite mode. I would much rather play than this. 100 times over. So it's unfortunate. It is what it is. And then I did get into Ubisoft Plus and into a little game called Avatar. Now, for those who have been here, who heard when Avatar was first announced on, I believe that was, we talked about that on the Fun Speculation Network. That was, I think it was last year actually at Ubisoft's event. I think I said then that I was I'm interested in Avatar.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't know about this game though. Something is off about it. I didn't think that the game was going to release the way that it looked. And Ubisoft, every now and then you come out and just really, really surprise the people, man. And to say that this game is quality, I think it's kind of selling it short. Like this, again, maybe because I've never played Fallout. That is the reason why I feel the way that I do about Avatar. It feels intuitive. If I imagined an Avatar game and it was in first person and I wanted to feel like the Na'vi. This game has nailed it pretty strong, at least for me. The biggest thing that was like a attention to detail thing for me in the beginning was just the height differences. And I know it's something small. It's like, oh, of course, Steel, that should be there.
I've seen other people say that.
But it's like, shocking to see it be so apparent.
Yeah.
In the way that things scale, like the way that the scale feels to you. And then when you get out into the open world and then you feel like you're a normal size again, compared to other things, like compared to the people and shit like that. You're still a giant compared to them, but compared to the world, you're like, oh, well, yeah, this got to be my home planet if everything feels like it's natural. It's all this size.
Everything's bigger.
Yeah, everything is. In Texas, for sure. But from the very beginning, the story is gripping. I feel like it does tread some of the same water the first one does, as far as the concept goes. But again, the other thing too that's attractive about this, coming off watching The Way of Water, is knowing that this game is canon. So that's something else to take in consideration. You have your own custom character. I mean, of course, it is voiced. You got 3 different voices that you could choose from. One is more like male, female voice. It could go either way, a female voice than a male voice. So you have a little bit of that diversity there. But since the character is voice acted, you just feel, and because you are able to edit your character, at least in the beginning, I don't know if you're able to do it after. It does make it a little bit more immersive, I think. So it's been really good. I've been really enjoying it. It's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Getting out there with the bow and shooting the dudes in the mechs, breaking that glass. I unlocked a move yesterday where I can kind of, once they're like reeling, essentially, like once they've taken enough damage without stepping back,
staggered.
There you go. I couldn't think of the fucking word.
Yep.
Once they're staggered and whatnot, I can run up on them and pull them out of their cockpit.
Oh wow. Nice.
So there's that. Like I could break the glass and pull them out of the cockpit. The other thing too is that the melee combat is extremely. I think it's funny because it feels impactful, but it's like the same move over and over again, kind of.
Sure.
It's like a punch and a kick. So it's like. Yeah. But it feels extremely impactful. Like there's these dogs that'll run around and chase you when you get around them. They'll try to hunt you. Now, the way that you get them off of you is as you turn around, just pop a couple of them. Then the rest of them go scurrying off. They're like, oh, okay. Now, when they get too close though, because they like to jump and they can be kind of unpredictable. Well, I'm sitting there mashing the right. Boom! You can just feel the impact, and it feels really good. Although not very many animations for it, it still feels good. So you can tell that the game is more so centered around the shooting, the bow mechanics, the stealth, really trying to become more Navi-like, right? And I think they did really well. Shout out to the team, Ubisoft, man. Y'all did y'all thing, and this beat in Snowdrop, you can tell on every level.
I was just gonna say that. I don't know if you saw my screenshots, Paul. Yeah, I've seen your screenshots. I saw other people's videos and screenshots. And again, this is the one thing I said from the beginning. This is Snowdrop, man. This game's going to be beautiful. Like I had never had any question that it was going to be beautiful. It was some of the action scenes that I said that were hit or miss for me as far as whether or not I would enjoy it. Again, it's a game. I like Avatar, so it's definitely something I'm going to jump into. I'm planning on next year jumping into Ubisoft Plus and trying out for myself. Yeah, and it's co-op too. So if you do hop in now, you've got that opportunity as well to play it that way. I just got, I think that the world itself looks so alive.
It does.
That's crazy. The amount of detail in that game is, that's just from me seeing it, off of YouTube videos and all that compressed and all that kind of stuff. So I got to say that part of it, I never had a doubt that they were going to pull that off. So that to me is enticing enough that I do want to check it out. How's the skill progression? I know you just kind of touched on it right there. Does it feel when you open up a new skill, can you customize your character a little bit through the skills to play how you want to play? Is it like that?
They got different elements and everything that you would imagine. Like they got hunter skills, they got survival skills, they got crafting skills, they got I say survival already. I might have. If I didn't, they got survival skills. So they got different like skill trees. I think it's like 5 or 6, and then you also have like your ancestor abilities that you end up unlocking, which could be things like taking less damage from falls, or if you time your fall and you slide from your fall, for an example, you'll take 50% less damage as an example, because there is fall damage and whatnot. It's not super major. I've fallen from some pretty high places, which you guys will probably see in the background. And mind you, the gameplay that I have up today, I don't think it's very spoilerish. There is some main campaign stuff that we get into. The main thing that I wanted to try to do is see, because I wanted to unlock the flying mechanics, and I did that last night, which is I do wish that was a little bit more intuitive. It doesn't feel bad, but I do wish it was a little bit more intuitive. It takes some time getting used to. Feels a little weird, but once you get into it, it definitely does, especially when you've been running this entire time. Like, bro, when I saw the title screen, I had probably put like 2 or 3 hours into the game before I saw the title screen. Just as an example. You know what I mean? So I thought I just wasn't going to get one right up to that point. I was like, but I was also like exploring. I was just trying to figure shit. I was trying to figure stuff out. I was like, oh man, like what is going on? When I saw that there was loot in this game, because that was the other thing I didn't really know. There's fucking loot in this game. So I'm like, so now
you got my attention. I didn't know that.
Bro. There's bows, there's different bows you can get that have different effects on them. You can get like a poison bow or a fire bow. Bro, there's clothes that have affixes to them and stuff like that. Okay. The flying mechanics, when you get your mount, it has its own skill tree.
Okay. I like that.
Like you can get you can get close to the water while you're riding, and it can like if you're low on stamina or health, it can go down and get the fish for it. Like you don't have to feed it, because that's the other thing, to heal it you got to feed it or whatever, but you can get a perk to where you just get close enough to the water, it'll automatically eat whatever fish. And it's actually, bro, the attention to detail in this damn game, the animation that is in this game, they made sure, at least to my perspective, and again, watching the movies, I feel like it's very similar in quality, at least.
Sure.
Yeah, for a game, right? Yeah, it's definitely one of the higher quality games, I think, of the year. Graphically too, it just looks good across the board. Plays good. Again, for somebody that typically doesn't like to just jump in first person games, very few and far in between. Yeah, never played a Far Cry game before, and for people to say that, oh, this is Far Cry like, I think that Ubisoft really hit it out of the park for an Avatar game, man. And I'm excited to continue to play it. So I mean, if that doesn't tell you enough, I don't know what will. But
I've seen lots of good things from people, man. So again, another one of those games that
you can customize
the
your
reviewers.
Too,
oh wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I hit or miss with the reviewers. Right. Didn't get the best reviews out there, but this is going to be one of those games where a lot of people jump into and absolutely do love. And that's what I've been hearing from a lot of people, that the game is much better. Real quick too. Last question. How's the exploration feel? Since I heard that they didn't put a lot of markers on the map, that they wanted it to be more natural. It wasn't an Assassin's Creed or Far Cry where the map is littered with markers. How does that feel natural? Does it feel like you're got a little bit of that, Bethesda exploration? Oh shit, I just came across something. Or is it still pretty much, oh, I kind of know where I need to go. Like this is okay. I got where I need to go. Like this is even without the markers. You know what I'm saying? Is it?
From what I've experienced so far, no, it's not like that. Okay. A lot of the times, if anything, I feel more lost than I do knowing where I need to go. Okay. And maybe it's just me missing something. But a lot of the times I end up accidentally exploring. Like it's not intentional. Like maybe I'm going away. The other thing that they do too is that the objectives are quite a distance from each other. So you kind of end up exploring sometimes. The one thing that I will say that is a negative for me is that sometimes when you're going from, like, example, from objective to objective, sometimes there isn't much going on outside of the world just looking pretty. And looking, and I mean, again, the world does feel alive, so it's like you can tell there's a lot going on. But as far as like, you're running into wildlife, you're running into packs of wildlife, and then sometimes I won't for a bit, so there is some of that. Sure. But I haven't picked up on like, oh well, I know this area is like this. The map also puts like a fog of war kind of thing over it until you unlock certain areas or until you go into that area. So there's that too. So you literally don't know what you're walking into, right? You could explore if you wanted to, because there are things like there's bases, there's enemies to fight, there's extra That's how you get a lot of your loot and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There was a thing that I did yesterday that is, I walked into this area that was extremely polluted, right? And it's dope seeing like all this greenery, and then you get into this area that's like sludge looking, because of the humans coming down and build the factories and whatnot. And I had to go in there, basically shut everything down. The lady was like, "Oh, you could try to do it stealth if you want to," and I was trying, but then there was too many mechs around. One caught the attention, and it just turned into all out warfare. But even within that, even that felt organic enough, because I wasn't expecting that. Like it just it felt different. And you can literally approach the game however you want to, right? You don't have to approach it a certain way. You can do hot or you can be stealthy.
Yeah, stealthy. How's day-night cycle?
Day-night cycle is really nice. It's I think it's
is
really
it natural
attractive.
progression?
Yes, and you see, of course, it's a little bit unnatural because it's a game, right? So
sure, well, of course. I'm just saying that as you play, it goes through the cycle. Yeah.
To see, like I was at one of our home trees, and it is dope to see, like when you're walking outside. Yeah. One thing I will say is I don't like the way the light transitions sometimes. It's like really bright. Like if you're in a dark cave and it's like bright outside, it's like it's completely blinding. Sure. Until, I mean, and again, if you're in a dark cave, this happens in real life too. If you're in a real dark area, then you step back out into a bright area, you do have to adjust. But the way that they translate that into games, I don't think it hits the way that they think that it does. Sure. So I will say that, but it is really dope to see the transition of the shadows moving on the tree, because you can tell it's becoming evening. Okay. It's becoming later. Like you can see the transition. Then also when it gets foggy, because I thought it was just the game being weird. Yeah. When it gets foggy, it gets fucking foggy, bro. Like, and it adds a whole nother element to the game, makes you feel alive, especially when you get your mount. You can actually tell because you're in the air. Oh, wow. No, this is literally, it is fog. So I was like, oh man, what is the game doing? What is this weird like film that the game is putting on everything? It makes it kind of weird to see, and it only happens at certain times. I'm like, I wish I could just turn this off. And then I get my mount, and I started to kind of appreciate it more. I was like, oh, okay. This adds another form of dynamism to it, because it's like not all areas look like this, and then having that separation is really dope. So
well, hats off to Massive then. Again, Massive is a great studio. They know how to use the Snowdrop engine, obviously. Again, I didn't have doubts about what they were going to be able to present from a visual standpoint. Massive is freaking fantastic. I just didn't know if this game was going to have enough oomph to get me into it. And it sounds like, and it sounds like from now that you told me that there's loot, that the exploration is kind of natural, like all of that is now speaking to me. So this is definitely going to be one that I do jump in. I was planning on to anyways, because I will be subscribing to Ubisoft Plus at some point. Like I said, probably early next year, and checking this stuff out that I want to play, because I want to play Assassin's Creed Mirage. I want to try Crew Motorfest. I heard good things, but now Avatar is definitely a must for me to try out, because this does sound like a game that I will enjoy the hell out of. So cool, Steel. Hats off to Massive.
Callie says he thinks it's a solid 7.5. I mean, I don't know what the end of the game looks like, but right now I'm feeling it about a strong 8. Almost pushing 9 in some areas. Perfect. But yeah, I think it's definitely a solid 8 so far. Jason Max asked in the chat, Steel, you don't like games that are more realistic? Far Cry is awesome. That's not why I had never played Far Cry. I just never had interest in playing Far Cry. I'm not typically the first person shooter dude.
Single player game.
Especially when it comes to single player games. I'm just not that guy most times. So I've never considered even playing Far Cry. It's never been a thought in my mind. Outside of the most recent one, I was like, Joe Esposito's in there. That seems like it'd be kind of cool. But even that, I was like, whatever. So yeah, I've never played Far Cry. So again, that could be a reason why I am as high on it compared to some others that maybe are familiar with Far Cry. So there is that.
We're gonna get Steel to play Far Cry 3 at some point. So we're gonna get him to play Far Cry 3.
With the games that are out. Yeah, we'll see.
Well, at some point. At some point. That's why I said at some point. Awesome, Steel. Good shit.
And like Takato says, Avatar has wildlands questing. It's somewhere over here. Find it. That's 100%. They play off a lot of that using your scent. Yeah. It's kind of very similar to Assassin's Creed, where you kind of use your vision to find.
Yeah, you like the eagle vision. The eagle vision.
I think it's better in here. It feels more
Sure.
intuitive for the Navi themselves. They did
Yeah.
really, they did pretty well putting this game together, and
Nice.
I feel into the story. So there's that.
Perfect.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that'll wrap that up here. We're already almost an hour in, and we only got about an hour left. So let's get into what has happened this week. We will be skipping the upcoming games and this day in gaming today, just so we can get straight to the smoke and talk about what's been impacting us this week, especially with the big old show that happened known as the Game Awards. So Pong, I mean, I know you guys got into some stuff yesterday.
Yeah, we
can roll into some of that stuff today if you would like. Is there anything that is sitting on your heart that you would like to get into as we roll into this Game Award conversation?
I mean, we could take this a lot of different directions. And again, I want to keep it brief so we can get to some of the really good stuff too. I think let's start. Well, I mean, let's naturally start. We don't have to roll through every single game that was shown. There was 30. Let's put it this way, Steele. For anybody who doesn't know, I went through and counted. There was 33 game announcements, including the pregame show.
Oh, wow. Okay.
If you split up Sega's 5-game announcement, you've got 37. This is a ridiculous amount. This was a mini E3 to a lot of us. A lot of us said this was a showcase part 2. We were talking about it, live on the air. This felt like the old E3s, right? This was a second showcase of the year outside of, the E3 time frame, which I love. Of course, as a gamer, that's what I love. Again, now as an award show, it was terrible. It was absolutely, it's not the award show. This is a marketing show. This is a showcase. It's not an award show the way that Keighley wants to present it as being, this is about the industry. This is about celebrating the devs. This is, about the games, that we played this past year, quote unquote year, because it's not a full year. This is, he tries to present it as that. It's not. And again, a lot of us has said this. This is nothing new, but this year was definitely more apparent than ever before what this show was about. And if you're going to look at it as an award show, you can't grade it well, because again, it's about the celebrities, it's about Keighley, it's about the advertise, it's about everything but that. And that's the sad part about it. And I think that a lot of people have hit on that this week. Keighley got a lot of flack on X for it this week as well. We got into some good talk last night on Xbox Ultimate about this, about what we would do. And again, my main point is get rid of the fucking celebrities. They don't, as much as I love dudes like Matthew McConaughey showing up, right? I could listen to that dude talk all night. It's dope. It's great. And he's a part of the game. And he is in the game.
That makes sense, though.
A little bit, Steele. But to my point, if this show is about the industry, if this show is about the awards, stop thinking you need fucking Hollywood. Okay, video games are now the biggest entertainment industry in the entire world. Start acting like it, Keighley. If you want to be the main representation of this industry, and again, I give Keighley his flowers for elevating the industry when it comes to this award show, but you don't need Hollywood anymore. Okay. What you need to start doing is promoting from within the industry. Why is it this industry is so afraid of having devs be celebrities? Why is that such a big thing? Why is there only a handful of people? I mean, some of us could name more because we obviously are in, we talk about this stuff all the time, so we know more people. But why is it, generally speaking, only a handful of devs like Kojima and Todd Howard are well known throughout this industry and have faces? We talk about this all the time, Steele, the human nature, the human side of things, that there are people behind these games. And we only talk about that human side of things when something bad happens, when we got layoffs or some shit goes down that we hear about from a studio, and we go, oh man, it really sucks for the devs. We've got to remember that they're human beings. Well, you want to know why? Because they're never promoted. And Keighley's got the perfect place to promote these people. So yes, of course, Matthew McConaughey is great. Have him up on stage. Sure, it makes a little bit more sense because he's a part of that game. But why not have one of the actual devs who are making the game show up there? Why not have the director show up there so we can put a face to the names that we see in the credits when they roll on our screen?
Good point.
Why not have them up there and introduce and talk about their new game? Because that's where the passion comes from. I said this last night, Steele. The perfect example during that showcase, Steele, was that gentleman. And again, I forget his name. He's a voice actor, right? He got up there and introduced his new indie game, but he talked about the influence that his dad, who passed away, had on it. You know who I'm talking about, Steele?
The Blood Dude, yeah.
Again,
that was the game. Name of that game was
it's Tales
of Kenzera Zhao.
Yeah, yes. That gentleman. You couldn't see it on camera if you were watching this live when we were co-streaming. I had crocodile tears in my eyes.
I did.
And you want to know? You want to know why? Because it's such a different thing when you have somebody up there that is real. Because the rest of the show is so damn fake that when you have somebody up there talking from the heart about their video game project and the influence behind it, and why it's so important to them, that stands out from the rest of the show.
I agree.
That's what I want to see more. When you've got a director, a studio head like Dinga up there talking about Blade and how passionate his team is for the IP, and you can feel the that's real.
Yeah.
He's not up there making up fake bullshit about how he feels about that game and what his team is doing to make Blade the best damn Blade game ever seen, right? That's real. That stands out because the rest of the shit's so fake. We don't need gonzo segments. I love the Muppets. I grew up on the Muppets. I own the entire original Muppet collection on DVD, okay?
Yeah, stop bringing the Muppets into gaming. Stop.
I just don't need that. As much as I'd love to see Kojima's game up there, his new vision for OD up there, do we really need 15, 20 minutes of Kojima and Jordan Peele? No,
they didn't show
we
shit.
Don't. They don't know. We don't need that. So again, there's opportunities here for Keighley to change things in the format and give more time to the developers that he actually talks about wanting to represent. But he's got to go do it. And again, this year, taking away time because of what Mr. God Award Kratos did last year, right? And overcompensating this year with the rest of the developers and giving 30 seconds of time to
they literally
game of the year.
They literally had a sign up that said, wrap it up.
Please wrap it up. Bullshit, man. Again, I understand you have to have structure. Again, we don't want a 6-hour show. This was already 3.5 hours.
That's way too long. It was too long.
Show.
It was too long.
Right.
It should have been max 2 hours.
But the fact, I don't mind 3 hours. 3 hours with all the games that they show. With all the games they showed.
It could have been better. It could have been better. It could have been better.
It could have been better. That's what I'm saying.
That's all.
But you could give the devs 2 minutes of time. All those categories where you just read them off as the winners. For those ones that you want to, why not give one of the whoever the winner is an opportunity to send in a video for 30 seconds and show the video for 30 seconds of them accepting their award, right? There's just things like that are so fucking common sense. I don't understand why Keighley and his team don't understand this. And again, it's not just Keighley making these decisions. He has a huge production team who's putting this whole damn thing together. But how they don't understand how this looks and how it feels to the audience that is watching what you are saying is the premier award show for the world's biggest entertainment industry, that bothers me. So again, as an award show it wasn't great, Steele. It wasn't. But as a gamer, as somebody who loves showcases, who loves E3 time, this was the second coming of Gamers Christmas, man. It was beautiful. Like, we got more new game announcements than I've seen in a long ass time. We got more updates to cool games coming than we've had in a long time. Like this was A+. This was 10 out of 10. It beat my expectations. I expected the show this year to be big because of how big this gaming year was in general. There was a lot of attention, a lot of energy on this show. I knew the devs and publishers, we talked about Steel, were going to bring their A game this year because I can guarantee you Keeley's percentage of increase in his audience was the biggest one he's had yet this year. I can guarantee that. And so I knew everybody was going to bring it, and they did, Steel. It was freaking amazing. So I'll cut it there.
Yeah, the Game Awards was definitely impressive. I definitely gave it a 9 out of 10 overall. I definitely think the pacing could be better. It went a little long in the tooth, at least for me, my personal preference. Again, you always got to work with. I don't mind longer shows, but definitely a lot of the fluff in between. You could just tell that it wasn't what I would personally like. Again, and I always preach that gaming is art, should be treated as such. And of course, when certain people get on stage and they're talking about their game, no matter how I feel about Baldur's Gate winning game of the year or why it won game of the year or should it be in that conversation because it was built with the community or not, at the end of the day, when you see what that means to the devs, and of course we could sit here and say, like, Mr. Matty Plays came out and he had something very powerful to say this week along the lines of the award shows are embarrassing, they don't have the proper representation, or we shouldn't take it serious, or why do we look at it like we do? And like the only thing that I can fight back with is look how the devs respond to it. Like, you just don't, if you don't care about it, if they didn't care about it, they wouldn't get excited about winning awards for it. And unfortunately, we don't have a committee of people that are unbiased, that have worked together and have put together something that can fairly judge and critique the gaming industry. We don't. There are separate award shows that do that. Again, we got the BAFTAs that are coming up too, which probably are going to be a little bit more in line with our expectations as gamers of what, as far as we're looking for, just because they've historically have done that. They seem to have a really good system as far as that goes, versus what we're seeing from the Game Awards, right? You could tell that the system is flawed. The voting is flawed. Some of the games that won, I mean, it is, it is what it is.
The categories are random. Again, there's no
that's the way
rules.
that it feels. That's the way that it definitely feels. Again, especially with certain games being in categories when you had a bunch of new games that came out that should be in those categories. It is what it is, right? But he is definitely one of the bigger ones representing it for the gamers. I do agree with you, Pong. It doesn't need to be centered around movies or the movie industry. I don't think, or any other celebs, honestly. That was another point that Mr. Matty Plays that made. Definitely check out his content if you guys haven't. Sub to him, please. He makes a lot of good content, consistent. He has really good opinion. I trust his judgment and his headspace. But the other point that he was making too is that God, I just had it and I completely just lost it. Fuck. But it was speaking again to the Game Awards and to people just getting the proper credit that's deserved from them. There was another angle that I wanted to take with that was extremely important that I was thinking about the entire time. It was listening to phone talk. Of course, I didn't write it down, but we have to figure out a way that the devs can get more representation. Oh, that's what I was going to say. We don't need to move towards the movie industry. The movie industry has moved towards gaming. And what Mr. Matty was saying is that we need more gaming representation at these shows. There are too many people in the gaming industry for them not to be the ones talking about these games. I don't need anybody else. Like Pong was saying, Matthew McConaughey is cool. I love the dude. He's my guy. I love his movies. And I love the things that he does. But would I rather had a Phil Spencer up there as an example? Would I rather had like a Shohei up there? Would I rather have Jim Ryan could have got up there and it probably would have been better. At least I know he's in gaming. You know what I'm saying? Like, but there's just so many people that you can choose from, especially to represent the studios, maybe people that don't get the light shining on them very often, that should come up and talk about their games. They don't need to be well-known people. And I get why you do it, because it gets the people talking. It's like, oh man, this person's going to be here. Did you see Matthew McConaughey, who was looking all good and whatnot at the Game Awards? I didn't even know there was a thing. Sure.
Man doesn't age.
No, he definitely doesn't. He definitely has that. He definitely is drinking some of that black don't crack for sure. He's doing something right for sure. Shout to McConaughey. All right.
It's the greatest, man.
Yeah, he's dope. But yeah, it definitely needs to be a better representation for us as gamers, and I think we're still quite a ways away from that, and that's unfortunate. But as far as it being a E3 type show, I don't know if this was his intention. But you can't do both in most cases and be successful. But from everything that was showed here, again, just from my personal list, I have 22 games that I'm interested in that are coming out between 2024 and 2025. And these are games that these aren't even any of the other games that could be possibly coming out.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
That's the wild thing. I think if 2023 taught us anything, is that there's no telling what else you could get in between some of those bigger announcements that you're expecting. Again, we weren't expecting to get as many fighting games as we got this year. For them to hit us upside the head. I definitely wasn't expecting for Sega to literally remake all of their older games. That threw me for a loop at the show. This year, along with just a variety of different things that we got, right? So, I don't know how you want to kind of talk about the different games or whatnot. What games really stood out to you? What was impressive? Where you want to kick it off at,
bro? There's so many. We could do a 4-hour show and just talk games today. With everything that was there, it's pretty incredible. Let's
start with this.
Go ahead.
How surprised were you that God of War Ragnarok was getting a upcoming free DLC?
Out of all this stuff, it was surprising, and I gave Sony a clap for it. If you're gonna do this kind of stuff, whether it's just a throw-in mode or whatever
that's
case
definitely
may
what
be,
it is. It's definitely a throw-in mode.
That's fine. Still, we know what Sony's doing.
Oh yeah.
They need more engagement on their games.
If this doesn't prove that, I don't know what does.
They have realized they're one and done. Ain't gonna cut it for the future anymore. They have to increase.
So let's put a roguelite mode on everything.
Right. Why not? Let's do it. But I gave them credit for rolling it out as free DLC. Again, that's the stuff you have to do. So if you're gonna do it, that's fine. Again, I gave them credit for the Last of Us edition, right? $10 upgrade. Fine, $10 upgrade. I can get with that. That's cool with me. Free $10 if you're going to do a little bit extra. Fine. That's all good. But the light has turned on, folks. And again, for all those people who said, oh, no, that's what we want. That Sony can live off of that. We buy our games and they got plenty. That's obviously not the case anymore. They want you engaging with their games for longer than a week.
Imagine being able to add things to a single player game to get you to play it for a little bit longer.
Correct.
Man, that is such a novel concept. It's almost like that is something that I've just expected out of my single player games after all the losses we have taken in the industry for value for a value proposition. I'm just saying.
Right. The more people that are engaged longer with your games, the better the chance they're going to spend money in your ecosystem. That is now a proven fact. On top of that, if you are going to launch official expansion or DLC for these games, if you keep people playing that game, that keeps it in the front of their minds so that when that DLC or expansion drops, it's like, oh, I totally forgot. Maybe I don't have time for that anymore. No, they're going to jump right in and buy that DLC or expansion pass and keep playing that game that they're currently engaged with. There's so many different things about this, but no, hats off to Sony. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. It was great to see that they're doing something again. They came up with an original name for it. Valhalla's never been used. So that's great. They're just, they knocked it out of the park with that DLC. It's great.
Hey, and I bet you know what's kind of crazy, Paul, is that when you have Assassin's Creed Valhalla
Yeah.
that also has a roguelite mode.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine that your roguelike mode is going to be better than what was in there. But again, maybe it will be because it's quality and you got.
But it doesn't matter for the Sony
bosses,
fan base, right, Steele? It doesn't matter for their first party is going to draw for that fan base. Well, so that's all that really matters.
Trevor makes a good point. He says Sony refuses to listen to its community. No one asked for a roguelite mode. 0 people in the world. Hey, but maybe it's something you didn't know that you needed.
Right. But see, this is the problem that I don't want to beleaguer this point because we got so many great things to talk about. But the point being is, and Trevor, to your point, whether you're being serious or sarcastic, it doesn't matter. Steele and I have talked about this. This is the corner that Sony has painted themselves into with PlayStation because they have trained their hardcore fan base, their enthusiasts, to believe that single player experience is the only way to play games, that is the premium experience in gaming. My God, we had people out here that were upset that Spider-Man 2 didn't win Game of the Year, and they were showing clips of cut scenes in Spider-Man 2, not the gameplay, and saying, how could this not be Game of the Year? They were legitimately still falling into the meme trap about PlayStation games, that it's more movie than it is game, by showing clips of cutscenes as if, no, look, our movie should be Game of the Year. This is what PlayStation has trained that fan base to believe. And again, there's nothing wrong with those games. Those games are great experiences. Absolutely great experiences. But when that's all you freaking do, that's where the problem runs in. And when you tell your community that no, this is why all our first parties develop these types of games, because they're the best and that's the experience. Well, then you've got to sometimes force things down their throat by starting to introduce, if you're going to change, right? If you're going to shift that narrative, you're going to have to do things that your community doesn't ask for and try to get them to start appreciating other things like other modes and that kind of stuff in here as well. So that's again, they're doing what they have to do. Steele, that it's free is an actual legit, hey, hats off. If you're going to do something like this, give it free. Shout out to the Rescue Squad Colt member for 1 month saying, yo, morning. Shout out to you, Rescue. Appreciate you coming through. Yeah, man. I mean, and then Tim says Spider-Man 2 didn't get any love whatsoever. And again, it's a second iteration of a game. I don't think that this was the year for your second iteration of a game to win. It didn't do. I mean, Venom is cool and all, and again, I know a lot of what happens in the story, and I appreciate some of that. It's cool. I'm excited to play that when it comes to PC, and I get to play all the DLC and I have all the content, and it actually looks and plays better than it how most people are experiencing it now. Just to be quite frank, but it. As over the top as Spider-Man can be, it's still Spider-Man. Right. I mean, you're treading a lot of the same waters. Again, yes, Sony did really well making a lot of those scenes cinematic. And nobody's saying that those games aren't quality. But when you have brand new games, and again, it's how I feel about Resident Evil 4, it shouldn't be in the conversation. No remake of a game that's essentially treads the same waters outside. The only remake that I can give a legitimate pass to is Final Fantasy VII, because they are literally doing something different. Yes, it may be based off of some of the original lore, but they are putting their own spin on it. It's completely different. It's not the same, right? So it's like there's certain games that I could give a pass for. But I still say it lives a lot off of the nostalgia, and it still lives a lot off of its original success. Yeah. It's an original success that is living off of that. So for me,
but also going from when you change. But the other thing too is that I'll give it a little bit more credence is when you do completely change your gameplay style, your game mechanics, and all of that. Yeah. Again, this is something that Final Fantasy has been working through for quite some time. I think that's different. It's like if Resident Evil went from first person to now it re-releases in its third person. Wow, okay, I can give you some credence for that. Okay, cool. Yeah, you brought it back to life. I kind of feel iffy with that because you can just pull your camera back. I know it's not that simple. You just can't just do that. But considering the time and everything, it's an interesting conversation to have. I don't mind it either way. I like going back and forth about it because there are little things and nuances that you can kind of pick out. But yeah, again, I mean, shout out to all the great games.
Separate category.
I think so. I think that'll be the perfect. I think that'll be the perfect way to do it.
Yep, exactly.
That way it gets the best credence. So we went from PlayStation. So let's jump over to Xbox. Now this was a game.
Real quick, Steel. Shout out to
Dip
Down Anime dropping on in here with the 1 month super chat. I appreciate member for 1 month super chat saying shout out to both of you. Love what you're doing. Thank you, Dip Down.
Appreciate you, Dip Down.
Appreciate you.
So since we're talking about PlayStation, let's move on. We're gonna move into Xbox a little bit here. We got to go from big game to big game. I do think this big game might move some mountains, but don't know what I'm talking about. This one's been quite contentious. Has some people pausing some frames and letting people know that there's going to be a lot of QTEs in this game. That things aren't as seamless as they seem. That Ninja Theory is hiding some things. That we have now gotten a downgrade from what we saw originally.
We got a downgrade from Hellblade 1, according to some people, Steel. I can't.
So, I mean, with you saying that, Pong, if you don't know what we're talking about Hellblade 2, in the kind of marvelous trailer that it ended up putting out. Let me I gotta pose this question. If you played Hellblade 1 to completion, and you liked it, had some semblance of liking it, right? I'm not saying it had to be the perfect game for you. I get it. Some people don't like the puzzles. I didn't think the puzzles were bad. Some people don't like the walking parts of it. I didn't think it was bad. I thought the walking parts of it was telling a story. She's literally going through psychosis. She's literally has voices in her head. The entire time you're moving around and you're telling me maybe people were playing this game with no headphones. Cause I was playing with headphones the entire time and I was just so damn enthralled in the experience. I wasn't thinking about the lack of combat. Like when I had my combat moments, I was like, okay, it's limiting. It's not a whole lot going on in what I would expect. And I'm the combat dude. If me as a combat dude enjoyed Hellblade 1 for what it was, on a story side, on the combat side, I'm not saying it's perfect. Mechanic side, making you think, making you feel a way. This is always impactful when games can make you feel a way. It's just like that game we were talking about earlier with the dude with Tales of Kenzera, Zhao, when he was talking about his dad and the loss of his dad and him wanting to put out a game to help him remember his dad, kind of immortalize him, right? And also bring out his own heritage or whatnot. These are like impactful moments that many games don't like to tread and don't try to tread, or a lot of people may not understand. The other thing too is like, you got to understand where Hellblade is coming from. I don't get how you could call it a downgrade when this team has literally been given a brand new studio, has their own mocap studio now. The chick, they went from having nothing, barely, to now having Microsoft backing them, which is damn near an unlimited budget. And I'm not saying that the game got an unlimited budget. But in comparison, why do you think that Ninja Theory is going to do less with more? Why are some people automatically, and I know why, but why are we automatically downplaying it as if they just didn't work with less? They did more with less than I ever expected. And we're starting to see even more of that. Pong, I don't know if you saw Godzilla. If you've been seeing the stuff about Godzilla -1,
yeah,
because people were rolling around that it's the biggest movie to really. It beat Oppenheimer. I don't know if it'll beat Barbie, but it's one of the biggest movies released this year. It's a Godzilla movie. Mm-hmm. The director Because there was a rumor going around, oh man, it only cost $15 million to make this movie. And the director came out and was like, I wish I had that budget.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
And now Godzilla is going from its limited theater run to a extremely expanded theater run. And you did what with what budget?
Yeah.
If that's not a good example, and again, I know that's movies. There's a lot of talented things that can happen in the movie industry to make things look maybe more expensive than what they are. I think that's just talent. That's crazy. If he didn't, it looks like $100 million movie. The way, like the way that they got Godzilla moving and all that good stuff, the way that the movie presents us, just as an example.
It's a perfect example of what we talked about with AAA studios. Eventually, there's going to be a coming to Jesus moment with these AAA budgets, and they're going to have to go back.
Indies are proving that.
Yeah, they're going to have to do more with less at some point. The AAA studios are going to get their budgets cut. I don't believe it's sustainable to keep doing what they're doing on, $100 to $150 million, $200 million budgets. It's not going to keep going this way. And eventually, the publishers, the heads, are going to say, "You got to do more with less. You got to go back to the old days." We talked about this still, not going to belabor the point, but the 360 PS3 era, what they were doing with that hardware, with small teams, smaller budgets, right? They're going to have to go relearn how to do it that way. And I think Godzilla is the perfect example for Hollywood of, hey, your $300, $400, $500 million budget movies aren't doing as well as this movie that is Godzilla that costs less than $15 million to make. And they did something fantastic. Again, I haven't seen it, but from everybody else has seen it.
I haven't seen it yet. I've just been reading the news about it. I was like, I need to watch
from what everybody's saying. It's fucking amazing. From what I've seen from the trailers and stuff, fucking amazing. That the fact that he did that with an under $50 million budget. Yeah, eventually Hollywood's going to have a coming to Jesus moment here too as well. So anyways,
yeah, and I think it's
a perfect example.
And I definitely think that's going to transition into gaming, but just to think that there's going to be any level of downgrade, especially after seeing one of their own developers really step into the role, own it, and become Senua herself. It's just, those are the things that have pulled me into it. I don't necessarily see all the negative points that people are making. Again, if it's conversation for you to have, and you feel like you're not going to get into it. A lot of the people that I see talking about it weren't going to play Hellblade anyway. You didn't play the first one. You didn't have any interest in the first one. But now that the second one is on Xbox and it's going to be exclusive, now we want to overanalyze it. Now we want to, it's not as good as God of War Ragnarok. It's not going to have combat like God of War Ragnarok. What? It doesn't have to. I mean, one, it's not Heavenly Sword, and two, it's a little bit more realistic. I think in some ways. I think that's at least for how they're trying to depict it, and they're going to start getting into, as they did in the first game, some more of the mythos of things that are going on. Excuse me, behind the scenes. But Pong, I mean, what are your overall feelings about Hellblade? Are you more excited, like myself, than you've ever been before? The combat, bro, is exactly what we were looking for. It looks, at least for me, like they've added plenty of extra umph to the actual combat itself. It feels impactful. I think they've added some additional moves, from what I can tell. Maybe some executions in there. I think they're going to knock it out of the park. I always had confidence that they were going to do well, especially after going back and playing Heavenly Sword. I was like, yeah, I know Hellblade is not going to be that. I played the first game.
Yeah.
But knowing that they understand what combat is,
sure,
I highly doubt that they would take a step back, and because there was that rumor that was kind of going around for a bit. It was like, oh, this is going to be a walking sim. So how'd you feel about that?
Fantastic. Again, this is what I understood why everybody was sick and tired of seeing all the trailers that they showed up. I understood why people were saying, show us some gameplay, show us some combat, right? But there was legit, I think, some concern from people that Ninja Theory wasn't going to pull off the combat. I never had that feeling, and I'm just glad that, go ahead. I'm just glad that it's finally over with. I'm glad that they finally did show the combat and that it looks fantastic. Now I know what some people want to turn the conversation to. Well, they got to be doing more with the combat. I want to see big battles. Why does everybody always want these devs to reinvent the wheel after they've had much success? I don't get it. I don't want the devs to reinvent the wheel when they've had much success. I want them to do what they do best. And we know what Ninja Theory does best from the first Hellblade. And then what I want them to do is when they've got the bigger budget, like Ninja Theory now does, I just want them to refine and enhance everything that they did in the first one and just give us more of that experience. And that's what Ninja Theory is doing. If you can't see the uptick in quality, I can't fix your glasses. I can't fix your eyes. If you don't think that this is not a huge step up bar wise, it is. Go back and watch that trailer in 4K on your best screen that you have. It is simply breathtaking in some moments.
Yes.
And on top of that, not only did we get the combat, which is looking great, dual wielding axis steel, the finishers are looking awesome, executions, whatever you want to call them, they are looking freaking gory. They are looking violent. They are looking everything that I figured we would see and that I would want to see. Mm-hmm. But not only that, they even gave you more story beats. They gave you more diversity in the environments that we're going to be going to if you go watch that trailer again. And I brought this up last night. I think a lot of people aren't talking enough about the fact that it looks like we got introduced to what could be a main NPC character, somebody actually traveling with her at some point during this game and helping her with whatever massive struggle she's got going on. And again, I've always theorized that the first one was about her personal battle. Obviously, we know this. I'm not saying anything new, but her personal battle, coming to grips with the voices in her head and what that means, right? The psychosis, whatever you want to call it. But the second one was going to involve more people, was going to be a bigger deal, and she will have gained some control over those voices. And this trailer kind of reinforced that idea from what she was saying. If you listen to her words, again, these games, like Steele said, need to be experienced with headphones on. That's where you get the full impact of what's being said, because it's meaningful. It's not gibberish. It's meaningful to the game. That's why it's so important to have a good audio system when you are playing Hellblade, because Ninja Theory wants you to hear that, wants you to listen and try to understand what's going on. But I think she's gained some control over those voices. But the gentleman that you see in one of those clips that has very similar look to her, almost like a twin brother kind of situation, right? He's got a very similar look to her. Whether he doesn't look like an imaginary friend. He looks like somebody who has manifested physically, maybe potentially from the voices, or somebody who is somehow connected in the same way to those voices as she is. Go look at the markings on his face. Go look at his eyes. They are very similar to her, right? To Senua's. So I think that introduction, that she might have somebody who's actually walking the path with her, that is a huge, huge moment. So I'm super excited still. Ninja Theory is knocking out of the park. They know what they're doing. They're going to give us a mind-bending experience with Hellblade 2. Yeah. If it's not a game for you, I get it. Again, I can only play Hellblade 1 in increments, right? I still haven't finished it because I can only play it in increments. I'm going to go back to it before this one drops and finish it off. But I can only play it so long because of the voices, because of the psychosis. It really does start affecting me when I'm wearing headphones. But they are doing something special here. They are going to set the bar visually and maybe even narratively for games to come as to what that experience means. This is Ninja Theory coming into their own with the backing of Microsoft and Xbox, giving them the resources to finally fulfill their entire vision of what they wanted with Hellblade 1, but they didn't have the time and resources to complete it or to polish it. and flesh it completely out. They are taking this opportunity in Hellblade 2 to do exactly that. It's going to be a giant game. It's going to set the bar again. I think that maybe Coalition with Gears 6, Unreal 5 might be able to approach this, but what I saw in that trailer, there's nothing that's touching this visually.
Gears is also a different art style. It's not a different, like, as realistic as even Hellblade is.
But I'm talking about impressiveness, right?
Yeah,
again,
I think Gears 6 is going to hit it.
I think that I just think that this is going to set the bar going forward. Yeah. There's nothing out there that represents what I saw in that trailer or close to it as of now. So I think Ninja Theory is doing their thing. I had zero doubts that they weren't. Again, I can't wait to see this game. I can't wait to see the direct where we get a full kind of look at this game, a deep dive into this game. And I think we're going to get that early in 2024. So I'm excited, man. Really great showing.
Yeah. After that, I think there was something else that was quite divisive too. And this is another one that was making the rounds. And that's whether or not Blade was going to be exclusive or not, right? I think because of all Xbox has going on, it's probably going to be it's going to be multi-plat because Xbox needs to sell software and they need to give all their games to Sony, because if they don't, the game's probably not going to be that great, right? Arkane released Redfall. Since they did that, why would they do anything else exclusive? They might as well just bring Blade over. Why would Xbox have a superhero exclusive game, especially when you have Spider-Man on PlayStation? I mean, it would only be smart for you, Pong, to put all of your other existing Marvel games on PlayStation so they could all be connected somehow. And you could tell a conjunctive story. It could be very intuitive. Maybe you could even get Insomniac's help on it. They can help you make a good game. Because, you know, Arkane's making a third. Arkane Lyon said they're going to make a third-person Blade game, and I just don't know how confident I am with that, man. Because, you know, I was told that they're only good at making first-person games, or if that. Because again, I mean, we got Redfall, so how good could they actually be? And when, you know, Blade, I just don't think they're going to make it mature enough. You know, it's probably going to be kiddish. Arkane doesn't know how to do any of those things. I don't think they've really released any other games, right, Pong? Stealth mechanics. I don't think they know how to approach that. They never did like stealth takedowns or anything. So it's like I don't know if they'll really understand what makes a good Blade. I know they released Redfall, so they got like vampires in there. But Blade is not like he's a vampire, but he's a daywalker. So like the vampires in Redfall can't walk around during the day.
You're missing the big point, Steel.
You're missing the bigger point. My fault.
You're missing the bigger point.
What was the big one?
Why is anybody caring? Because Blade's not a popular character anyways.
Oh, wow.
He's not a Spider-Man or a Wolverine, so who the fuck cares?
Yeah, man, I didn't. That's true. I forgot about that. I mean, Blade is like an irrelevant character. Like, there's so many other characters you could have picked. Like, you probably could have picked Sue Storm. You probably could have picked Iceman. I mean, Iceman probably would have been a better character.
Oh, Jesus. God help us all. Let's celebrate, first of all, number one, that this was a known secret that the community, a lot of people knew, but it didn't get leaked, Steel, and surprise it. Again, I'm the person who loves leaks, but again, the fact that so many insiders knew this and it didn't pop out and spoil the surprise, Steel, for a lot of people was cool as hell. Number one, there's a lot of insider journalists, quote unquote, out here that had this information that didn't do it. I mean, that's super dope for the Game Awards presentation and for Xbox in general.
Johnny, they're not. It's a different Arkane.
Yeah. This is Arkane Lyon. This is the A team. It doesn't even matter if it was Arkane Austin. I'm sorry, I'm a Prey fan. Arkane Austin knows what they're doing. Again, Redfall, totally different scenario, totally different situation, was forced upon them by ZeniMax board, all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to give excuses for how the game came out.
Right.
That was unexcusable. But Arkane Austin, I have not lost any faith in Arkane Austin whatsoever.
Yeah, they supported the game. Apparently, Arkane turned around.
Right. They're improving it. They're going to come back. They're going to go back to a game that they probably know in Prey. And they're going to do fine. Again, none of that matters. This is Arkane Lyon. This is the Dishonored team. Okay. This is the Deathloop team. They know what they're doing. Okay. People like to downplay those games because they weren't commercial successes, because not everybody played them. They're not for everybody because their art style isn't for everybody. But Arkane Lyon is dangerously talented. Okay. Dangerously talented. What else?
Nothing. Refudge. It's stupid.
God. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Black folks scare me, so I don't think I'll be playing Blade.
Oh my God. Okay.
I know you're being funny, refudge, but let's
with the stuff going on. By the way, Jeff Keighley, learn how to say dinga properly, please. Accentuate that, please. Anyways,
please.
Arkane Lyon is dangerously talented. Nobody knew. Okay, I don't care who wants to sit out here, as the kids like to say, and cap. Nobody knew Insomniac would take Spider-Man to the levels that they did. Okay, nobody could sit back and say 100% that when they heard that Insomniac was going to make Spider-Man, that they knew it was going to be considered the greatest, superhero game ever. Nobody.
And I think this is part of the argument too.
At that time. Yeah.
I think this is part of the argument too, is that Spider-Man also has a lot of games. Mm-hmm. They're Insomniac themselves said they went back to older games.
Yeah, they borrowed
to see where they can improve and how they needed to swing, how the swinging need to be better. How can we improve on this? You already had a base groundwork to work with. That's why I think, and again, nothing to take away from Spider-Man, but this is why people are as critical of Spider-Man as they are. Sure. Because this isn't like Blade. And yes, Blade has had a game too, but not the way that Spider-Man has.
No.
But nowhere even close. Right.
But Arkane Lyon, my point being is that Dinga and his team are extremely talented. They know what they're doing. Dishonored is not a kiddie game. It is an adult, mature game. Yes. Are they stepping outside of their comfort zone by doing a third person? Absolutely.
That's dope. I think that's so
Are
dope.
they going to have to refine the combat because the combat is going to be ultra important to a Blade game? Mm-hmm. Absolutely, they are. But if you look at all the studios that could handle a Blade game with all the unique gadgets that he and Whistler can bring, this is one of the most perfect teams to handle that side of things. And the fact that they said that Dinga was up there on stage and said this is going to be an immersive sim, that you are going to be able to play Blade the way that you want to play Blade. I love Arkane Lyon. And I think they are going to bring something special with Blade. And I want to celebrate the fact, all the nonsense about the exclusivity and all that kind of stuff, that's all going to be fleshed out over the next 3 to 4 or 5 years. Okay. That's all going to be fleshed out. They don't have to say anything right now, whether it is, they're still working out the details with Marvel and Disney about the exclusivity from the Xbox side of things, or whether they are purposely withholding this information to continue the conversation, because all talk is good talk. All publicity is good publicity, and they're going to get it no matter what. And they just want to keep that ramped up. Fine. Whatever the reasons are, or if this is a multiplayer or if this is a multi-platform game, at the end of the day, as a gamer, I don't give two shits. It's going to be in Game Pass day one. I don't care. The fact is that they now have a first-party studio working on a licensed IP, and not just any licensed IP, but a Marvel IP, an underutilized IP with one of the, if he is not one of the biggest characters, that's fine. He's one of the damn coolest characters Marvel has by far. And that right there is important to itself. And I have all the faith in Arkane Lyon, and with the passion that Dinga showed, that they're going to make sure that this game is right. And they've got the luxury now, Steel, that they are under the umbrella of Xbox, and Xbox has so many games that they don't have to rush this. Yeah. This can be the biggest passion project of all time.
They chose it. That's the other thing too.
They chose
Blade.
Correct. They wanted to work on this, and Marvel, the rep from Marvel, I forget who it was that was up on stage, you could tell that whatever pitch Arkane Lyon gave Marvel for this,
it was good.
They are in. They're allowing Blade, and again, I know Blade's traveled all over the world, but if you said, oh, I'm going to make a Blade game, would the first location that pop in your mind be the home of Arkane Lyon in France? Probably not the first location that you would pick, but they are saying, cool, run with it. That's going to make this game even better because Arkane Lyon is headquartered there. They know France. So guess what? The little details about France that those of us that don't live there, they're going to be there.
Club
Steel
scenes, yeah.
All of it, man. So the atmosphere is going to be on point. And I saw a lot of people complain about the art style. Why? Why does everybody have to have the same art style? Why do we need games that look exactly like Spider-Man just because they're superhero games? I don't fucking want that. I want Arkane Lyon to do their thing. And guess what? I understand that not everybody likes the Dishonored look. They are not doing that. They are going a more comic book route is the idea. They're taking their art style, but they're transforming it into more of a comic book style. And if they can lean into that and they can give us the blood and the violence that we know Blade is known for, and I think they're certainly going to do that, and they're going to give us that full-fledged, mature Blade game, which they already said they're doing, then yes, 100%, I'm on board with this. I'm not the superhero guy. I've said that a billion times here. But one of the superheroes that I think is cool as hell and that I enjoy and that I can get excited about is Blade because of the movies, right? Because of the movies. And I know it's not going to be based on the movies. They're going to do their own version of Blade here.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. That coolness factor, who Blade is as a character, is still going to be there. So I am freaking hyped about this, Steel. We've talked about this for the past 3 years, Steel.
Yep.
What Xbox could do, what kind of IP they could go get from Marvel.
Spawn next.
To kind of have it. Next up is Spawn, which is not a Marvel IP, but is another underutilized. What we talked about the Steel. If Xbox were going to jump into this game, jump into that dark hero side. Mm-hmm. Give us those dark heroes, right? Blade, Spawn, Punisher. The fact that we're getting one of those right now is exciting to me, Steel. I was super hyped for this. This was a great announcement. And nobody can stop talking about it for all different reasons, but I think Arkane Lyon is going to smash this out of the park. What are your thoughts on Blade? I know you were giving me the devil's advocate side, but for real, Steel, knowing that Blade is coming as a video game, that we're going to get a good representation of who Blade is. What do you think about this?
I mean, there is some truth to some of the funniness that I had there. I mean, I've never played an Arkane game outside of Redfall. I think from what I can remember, maybe I touched on Dishonored one or two back in the day, but never. Never intensively. It's never pulled my attention. I've never had nobody like, oh, you should try these games out. So yeah, my history with them, I don't know. What I do know is that Arkane across the board, it doesn't have to just be Lyon, it could be Austin, it could be just Arkane, is a quality studio. So
critical success, just not commercial. Right. Critically beloved outside of Redfall. All their games really beloved by
exactly. Yep. So and I think it's similar to how I kind of see Bethesda, right? Where it's like maybe I don't play their games, and maybe I played one of their games, but I typically am not in there. But I can still understand what makes them special, right? What they bring to the table, and I don't have necessarily any reason to feel like the art style that they're going for. And again, it's a trailer. They didn't show me much, but I liked what I saw. But again, if you guys haven't figured out yet, that's kind of my thing, right? I like stuff that is artistic. I like things that kind of take that step out there. So, and Nixie, I hope they don't lean on the realistic side. It doesn't need to. For what? Nope. We have too many games that are that way. Spawn could be the game that we make more, that leans more on the realistic side of things because of who Spawn is and the different elements that they could touch on. That could be the game that they do that with. And I would love to see, I would love the Coalition to do one or two things, either to make a Punisher game. I think that would probably be their best bet, or make a Spawn game. I think Spawn would be different enough for them to kind of give them a break, but I think Punisher just fits too well because you could literally just remake the older game, which I loved, by the way, and be perfect. But anyway, just get back to Arkane. I feel like Blade is in the right hands. Regardless of how you feel about Redfall, obviously they understand somewhat how to present vampires. I know it's a different studio, but they communicate with each other, man. So it's like there's probably going to be some information passed along. Somebody mentioned in the chat, I believe it was Lydia, was mentioning the teleport mechanic. I've seen that before, and combining that in a Blade game, because Blade has a lot of things that he can work from. He's not just a vampire, right? So it's like there's a reason why he's such an impactful and important character, and he's an extremely strong character too. So it just depends on how you present him, the story that you put around him, and the world, right? And I think it's really interesting if they keep it in London. I think that is interesting, right? They
Not
have
London, France. Paris.
Oh, France. Excuse me. France. I think that's going to be extremely interesting. I think Vampire was a game that also was based in that similar area. I don't think it was France though.
No, it was the UK. I want to say it was,
something like that.
Yeah, I think it was London. It was London. I think for Vampire.
So,
but that's where vampires came from, was Eastern
Mm-hmm.
European, right? So again, that's where they started. So that's the old history right there.
So, and then with a game like Vampire out there, so you have I know that game isn't like the best rated game ever, but you have other games that can show you what the potential is.
Yeah.
But maybe more if you add more of that comic book flair, where you have a background and stuff that you could work off of, and really have that scaling that you could use to enhance your character. I think that's going to be really unique. So I'm excited for it. I was extremely hyped when I saw the trailer. I think that's when I was muted up and everything, because I wasn't expecting it, and so I'm definitely interested to see what more from it. So.
Little touches too, Steel, in the trailer. Again, just the understated humor of Blade when he said, I thought that was great. It was understated. Bite. Yeah, I don't bite. Like, that was great. That was fantastic. The little details, the fact that the barber shop, it looks like France is under attack from vampires, because that barber shop on the outside, I saw some people criticizing because they had used a verse from the Quran alongside Bible verse, the cross. The fact that the barber was putting up and I don't know if you noticed it when they first panned into the barber shop, he had every single religious symbol possible hanging and on the walls and everywhere. Like, this dude is scared of whatever's going on in France. So obviously this is a major outbreak of vampires. So I imagine this is going to be full of vampires. I would love to see. I mean, we're going to learn more. Obviously, Dinga got up there and said, "Let us cook. We'll be back." Right?
It's going to be a while.
It's going to be a while. And again, I don't care. I don't care if this leads off next gen. I really don't
be 3
care
years
how long.
At least, for sure. Yeah.
I would lean towards 4 or 5 for sure.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah.
At least that's what I think so too, because they're going to get this right, and they don't need to force it. So just let them cook. But I can't wait to see who they're going to bring in as the baddies. Mm-hmm. I know they're not going to go and they're going to make their own Blade. I truly believe. I know some people have been out there. Boom put out there. They want Wesley Snipes. I saw somebody in the chat mention Wesley Snipes voicing this. I think they're going to make it their own. And from that, a couple lines in that, I like the guy, whoever's doing the voice right there.
Yeah,
I thought the couple lines. Yeah, it was doing great. But I would love to see them maybe throw some Easter eggs in there. Maybe one of the baddies could be like a Deacon Frost, because Deacon was fucking dope in the movie. Like, I would love to see how they're going to approach this, what the baddies are going to be like. But I think they're going to nail this. I think the little details are going to be there still. God, I could talk about this all day. This is really hard not to have a long show.
Oh, yeah.
Because I can sit here and talk. So, yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen.
Awesome.
Well, we got 20 minutes until we got to start winding down the show. We got to get on out of here. But so I think we'll use this time to talk about a few things here. We'll keep it on the Game Awards, but I'll pick out I'll pick up a few, maybe a couple to a few from my list, and then we'll kind of go from there if you want to pick out your standouts for you.
Absolutely.
I think Trevor says Steel needs to voice Blade. Hey, I wouldn't mind it. I personally think Mahershala Ali should voice Blade, just because he's going to be Blade. Mm-hmm. And I think being able to, and in the movie, and I think being able to have that transition there would be really dope. Maybe it is him in the trailer. Again, whoever it is in the trailer, he nailed it. Whether he could do that consistently throughout the entire game is something different. But whoever did that sounds exactly the way I would expect for Blade to sound. It doesn't need to be Wesley. And like your point, Paul, I think you said in the DMs, you got to move on sometimes, right? Wesley's good, but let Wesley where he at. We're leaving where he's at.
Especially if you're going to develop this into an ongoing IP Steel. If this turns out to be huge, like Spider-Man or, whatever, if this becomes a big IP, then you kind of want to have your own vision in there so that you can continue that vision in different directions. And not that Wesley couldn't keep doing it, right? He's not that old by any stretch of the imagination, but at the same time, it does link you to that universe, the movie universe, even if it's just his voice. Whereas if you don't use his voice and you have your own actor do it, you can go in a lot of different directions with that without ever carrying that kind of that nostalgia over with it. It becomes your own at that point. You really do own that IP and the direction you're going to take it. That's why I said that. I think Arkane Lyon wants that. So, but we'll see. I wouldn't be against it. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't be against it either way.
I think one that is definitely that I think I'm gonna go to first. Whew.
Yeah,
I wasn't over the moon about this. So
okay.
And I'm only gonna get into it really quickly. I wasn't over the moon about it, but I got to bring it up because it did get me to reinstall a game that I hadn't played before the DLC dropped and everything. And that's Monster Hunter Wilds.
Okay. All right.
I wasn't expecting that. Again, I kind of hinted at there's going to be a Monster Hunter World 2 on our conversation last weekend.
Yep.
And it just seemed like it was time for another iteration of that game, and see it be brought out as Monster Hunter Wilds was dope. It's coming out in 2025. It did get me to reinstall Monster Hunter World, and also got the DLC with it. So now I'm probably going to jump back into there because I did put down Wild Hearts. There's the support for that game is also dropped, so that's unfortunate. But I wanted to get into a good monster hunting game that I could just have some fun with, maybe group up with some people that have it. I got it on Xbox because that's where I originally bought it. There's a reason. Again, Monster Hunter World, there's a reason why the game case is on my little section here. It was a really dope game for me, as far as Monster Hunter really taking that step out and making a impressive, graphically impressive and more open monster hunting game. Because those just didn't exist like that before. It was very stylistic, and see them continue that trend is really dope. So, any thoughts about Monster Hunter Wilds, real quick, Mo?
I mean, again, we talked about it. I can't wait to jump into it with you because, again, when I played Monster Hunter World, I didn't have anybody. We played a little bit of Monster Hunter Rise together, and I had a great time. It's not coming out till 2025. I'm already looking at 2024 and how stacked it is.
Yeah.
So, I'm not even really thinking about it. But when it comes out, am I going to be interested in jumping into it with you, especially since you're such a Monster Hunter dude and kind of doing that co-op aspect? Yeah, absolutely. Of course. I think Monster Hunter is big outside of the West. I mean, Monster Hunter is huge franchise overall. I thought it looked a little rough. I will say that if you go back and watch the trailer and like I did in 4K, you can definitely see that this is a further out game. So, which is cool. I mean, again, whatever, they've got plenty of time and I expect Capcom to come with it, but it was great for the Monster Hunter fan base, the big Monster Hunter fan base, to get another one like this. And coming off the success of World, like you said, Steel, expected something like this, right? That they're growing. That franchise is growing. It's not stagnant. That is gaining more followers and more fans. So good to see it come back for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So I can't wait to jump back into there. Shout out to Wizzy. He said he was gonna jump in there too.
Yeah.
Since I re-downloaded it on Xbox. So that's super cool to see. Which one do you want to tee up here, Punk?
Let's go No Rest for the Wicked.
Ooh.
First of all, one of the greatest titles ever for a video game already. Yes. I don't care. It's been used in songs, right? It's been used elsewhere. The fact that somebody finally used it, it was great. Right. Moon Studio is, again, hyper talented, had some problems. There's been some smoke about the leadership there. They've had some issues. They were really close with Xbox at one point. Seemed like that relationship kind of, separated a little bit. Moon really wants to be independent. They want to put their games everywhere, all that kind of stuff. But Moon Studios is incredibly talented. Some of the best hand-painted, hand-drawn animation, obviously from Ori. Even though I'm not the Metroidvania platformer guy, I did play both Oris for a bit. I didn't beat them, of course. I fell off, as I always will with those types of games. But my God, it's undeniable why those games are held in such high regard. So Moon shows up here out of the blue with No Rest for the Wicked. Freaking amazing title. But then we get into the game itself. Love the art style, right? Love the art style. Some people aren't going to love it. I love the art style. Even in the cutscenes, I was like, yo, what is this? Then you get to see the gameplay, and all of a sudden, I start realizing that this is an action RPG. Yep. And I'm like, thank you, Moon. I am here day one for this Steel. This looks absolutely so damn cool. It is an action RPG. One of my favorite genres. Thank you. I'm all in, bro. This game blew me away, Steel. I can't wait to see more. They're going to have kind of a direct on March 1st, they announced. So we're going to see more of the game itself, probably get a little deep dive into some of the mechanics behind the game. What is this all going to entail when they say action RPG? Is it going to be light RPG, or is this going to be an in-depth RPG? I'm certainly hoping it's going to be an in-depth RPG with loot and skills and all that kind of stuff. I don't care either way. You sold me, Moon. Fantastic trailer, knocked it out of the park. I love it.
Exactly. I agree. It was at least a lot more enticing than I was expecting for it to be. I give them nothing but respect and praises for Ori. I personally don't have the, what's a good way to put it? I don't want to say attention span, because it's not that. I just don't have a genuine enough interest in side-scrolling games anymore, because that's what I grew up on, man. Like, I just don't want to go back to that.
I played a lot of platformers,
and I do enjoy them. There are games that come out where it's like, man, that's super dope. But it's just, so for them to do this ARPG style, I'm always going to be a fan of that. The Ascent was a standout for me. Diablo 4 has been another great one. Last Epoch was really good when I was playing that. I put that down because I was getting ready for Diablo 4, but I was having a good time with that. So it's just like, I am definitely about that ARPG life. And to know that their creativity and their level of talent, especially when it comes to combat mechanics and things like that, I have nothing but faith, and I am excited for that game, especially for it to be a co-op game too. So from what we could tell, I think that's going to be a really interesting game to play party wise too. So I think the next one I'm gonna throw out here, and I'm kind of in between, I'm gonna throw Black Myth Wukong. I don't have to say much on that, because me and Pong have been talking about Black Myth Wukong since we saw it. Right here, it looked better than it ever did before. I'm extremely excited for it, but I gotta skip over Black Myth, and I gotta bring this one up, because as much as I'm definitely day one on Black Myth Wukong, 1000%, there's one other game that stood out a little bit more for me, and that is the first Berserker, Kazan.
Oh, I knew you were gonna bring this one up. Yeah.
The first Berserker, Kazan, was crazy. The art style, the combat, how aggressive he was, being able to pick people up, throw them on the, like, it just
herb
was,
stomping,
bro. I was like, yo, this game is exactly what I'm talking about. And I was watching somebody speak on it, and they were like, the way that they blend that artistic style with some form of realism to it also, like that blend, it looks different enough that it stands out, but it also is like inherently makes you more interested. You're like, whoa, like, what is this game? What else can this game do? That's probably that's definitely one of my most anticipated games to see when it releases. It was doing all the right things, played all the right notes from me, and I do think that it is going to be more in the Souls vein. From what we could tell, again, like Black Myth Wukong is part of the reason why I brought that up. So Souls, so people fans of the Souls genre, we're gonna have some fun. I mean, how'd you feel about the first Berserker when you saw it, Paul?
Yeah, both of those stood out to me again as not the Souls guy, right? Both of them stood out for different reasons. Black Myth Wukong continues to look better and better and better. I just love what that team's doing. It's incredible that the team has never made a game together ever, and it started out small and turned into one of the best looking games we've seen in a long time coming out next year. Absolutely great. I mean, again, the last Berserker, Kazan, that anime mixed with realism style Steel speaks to me so much. Like it looked like a movie. Some of the animation with the hair and the clothing, the attacks looked like I was watching an anime, but so damn gritty, so damn violent, like just that dark overtones. Then the color pops on some of the characters, right? How they do that, they mute the colors, but then certain characters get really bright or certain actions get really bright. Love all of that, Steel. Again, the Souls doesn't speak to me because I know I'm going to wind up having problems if I do play the game. But I love the Souls games for all the atmospheres, and they're so unique. Each developer finds a new way to bring something unique, and this was no different here, Steel. It definitely stood out amongst the crowd. It is definitely one that I've got my eyes on. Obviously, we'll have to see when it officially launches. I'll obviously be hearing your takes of what you're playing and what you're seeing. Maybe I jump into it just to try it again. I'm not afraid to buy a game, even if I know I don't wind up getting a whole lot of time because I get frustrated. If the experience is good enough, sometimes that's valuable to me, just to be able to experience some of it. But yeah, definitely a standout, Steel. Love what I saw there, man. Just creativity through and through, man. Pure
100%,
creativity.
100%.
Love it.
Well, we got time for one more, Pong. So what is the one more thing that you would throw in there?
Oh man, bro, this is so difficult. First of all, shout out to Sega. I got to give a shout out to Sega. Sega is coming back big. Not 5 games they're remaking again. You know, as an old Sega fan, as a Sega kid, as is this. And we just had their VP come out in an interview with Gene Park from the Washington Post yesterday and say that they want to get back to the Dreamcast mentality. Yes, Sega, thank you. But again, Shinobi, Crazy Taxi, Streets of Rage, Golden Axe, and Jet Set Radio, all in on Sega. Fuck yes. If this is part of their super game initiative, keep doing this. I can't wait. There's a billion more here. Exodus, The Last Sentinel,
good,
all these stood out to me, right? We're getting more sci-fi games, which is always cool. But here's the one I'm going to bring up. And that's Hello Games and their new game.
That one
right?
really
Sean Murray, No Man's Sky. We all know the story of No Man's Sky by now. Sean Murray is being absolutely hilarious on X right now. The dude gets it. He leans into all the memes about him and his studio and about how No Man's Sky started. I love the dude. I think he's genuine. The fact that they've spent all this time releasing nothing but free DLC and expansions for No Man's Sky to get that original vision and to go beyond that original vision tells you all you need to know about Hello Games. They are committed to what they do, and when they don't do it right or they don't meet those standards, they're going to do whatever it takes to fix it, and they give it away free. It's just absolutely incredible. So I got shocked and awed, Steel, that he showed up at the Game Awards to announce a new game, but not just announce a new game, Steel. They've been working on this game for 5 years now, Steel, already. Yep. So when Light No Fire was announced by Sean Murray on that stage, and then they showed it off, Steel, and the next thing I knew, he got up there, he said, we're creating Earth. We're creating a bigger Earth in classic Sean Murray style. Again, I don't mind people like him and Todd Howard who overpromise. I don't care about that because that means they're shooting for big stuff. And even if they don't hit all of it, it's generally going to be it's generally going to be great. So then he shows this off, Steel, and they're going to have a procedurally generated entire world, but not sci-fi this time, but fantasy setting this time, Steel. Again, sci-fi is a close second, but fantasy is my favorite world to live in video games. And we got to see everything I wanted to see, Steel. Underwater exploration, over the world exploration, air exploration. You get to ride freaking dragons. You get to ride giant birds. You get to ride freaking deer-like creatures on the ground. You get to build towns if you want to build towns. You get to go explore dungeons if you want to go explore dungeons. There's freaking monsters to be found. There's bosses to be battled. There's loot, customizing your characters. Steel pointed that out right away. One of the dudes carrying a shield on his back that was detailed. I'm all about Light No Fire from Hello Games and Sean Murray. I don't know when this is going to launch. They've already been working on it for 5 years. I'm assuming it's getting close. I'm assuming we're going to see more about this game. But I love what they do over there, and I can't wait to see what they do with this game. This game will be day one for me, just like No Man's Sky was day one for me on PlayStation 4. Whenever this game drops, I will be there for Light No Fire. If everybody wants to jump into it with me, into that share world, because it's going to be an MMO experience, great. If I wind up playing it single player, I don't care. Light No Fire.
Oh no! Why would you? Yeah. You definitely wouldn't be playing that.
I don't care. I'm just saying overall, I don't care who wants to play or who doesn't. Who doesn't want to play this game. I'm going to be playing this game day one. That's all. That's the point I was making. I'm going to be playing this game day one. This is right up my alley. So yeah, I'll give that as the last shout out from you, Steel. What do you think about Light No Fire, sir?
I'm right there actually. I'm extremely interested. This one has me even more interested coming off of playing No Man's Sky. I believe that was this year. Or at the end of last year. I believe that was this year though. Shout out to Boogie. The main thing I think that interests me even more about this is that it's focused on one planet. It's just one place. And of course it's still procedural generation. But because you can focus on a planet and making different versions of this planet, I think that there's going to be a lot more detail. If No Man's Sky has all the things that it has within it, and they are doing all the expansive things that are in there, I don't have any reason to doubt or disbelieve them that they're not going to be able to put that level of detail, effort into this smaller space.
And lessons learned too, Steel, right? Lessons
of course.
No Man's Sky.
It's a different type of game, though, so we're going to see. But they definitely have learned over the years, and it would be hard for me to believe or to think that they're going to put minimal effort into this after everything that they got from No Man's Sky, right? I think the ceiling has only become higher for them since they've improved. Again, a lot of the free to play thing or the free things that they've brought into No Man's Sky, I think is another thing of good favor that I would at least give them some credence for. Nixie says Light No Fire, never played it, never liked it. And that's cool, man. If you're not into it, that's cool. I like fantasy games. I like games where I can get with the squad, have some MMO type things going on. We can go on an adventure. We can get looted up. We can go take out some enemies. One of us ends up carrying the other at some point because everybody dies. Moments like those are what makes games like that special. And there's nothing like having those in the moment experiences. So Light No Fire is definitely high on my list too. I had to put that on mine as well. So I am glad that it was on yours. And as we're wrapping up, the last thing I'll say is shout out to Make a Break. I already signed up for the alpha.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely, bro. When is that beta, by the way?
I don't have a date on it. It's it's an alpha. It's not the beta.
Oh, alpha. Okay.
It's supposed to be an alpha.
Looks good for alpha.
I'll definitely let everybody know when that drops out.
Yeah, if anybody didn't hear that Mecha Break, if you guys didn't pay attention, Mecha Break was the obviously mech game. Fast paced.
It's a battle royale.
Is it a battle royale?
Yes.
Okay. Looks like Zona Enders, excuse me. Kojima's old game as far as the combat goes, transforming in mid battle, fast. But yes, Steel, absolutely good shout out. Can't wait to try that one myself. I'm in on that. Even if it is a battle royale, you got my attention. Yep, absolutely.
We're gonna wrap it down. We're gonna wind it down.
Yeah, we're gonna be winding it down. Let me talk about while Steele's grabbing that real quick too. Be remiss if obviously we didn't talk about OD here for a minute. Whether you love Kojima or hate him, this conversation's not about that per se. It's about the fact that this dude does try things that nobody else ever will because it's too risky in this industry. That's why I've always appreciated Kojima, even if not every game has hit with me the same way. Kojima does try things that nobody else will. And OD is a huge get for Xbox. We talked about it when it was first came out that this was going to go down, that once Stadia had dissolved, that he had signed on with Xbox to continue his project. So him on stage, again, I didn't like how much time it took. We didn't need it for all that. But the fact that he came up on stage at one of the biggest events for video games with a lot of people watching and talked about this game, and not just him, but he brought out Jordan Peele as well. this is a big moment. He is going to use the cloud in a different way than most people expect. He is going to open up possibilities for other developers, if not to use it in the same way, to say that cloud does have potential. And we know Microsoft and Xbox want this. They want cloud development to become a thing more and more into the future. It opens up a lot of possibilities, right? If they can get it working, they can prove that it works, then that's what this is about. And having a name like Kojima, again, whether you like it or hate it, does lend credibility to that aspect. This OD game, I will not be playing it by the sounds of it because it is going to be a horror game. But that doesn't mean I can't step back and appreciate what they're trying to do here. The use of metahumans to the degree that we saw in those clips,
that was crazy,
was ridiculous. That's also a boon for UE, right? Because Kojima is pushing that. And again, his name draws eyes, draws attention. Then you attach somebody like Jordan Peele to it as well. And then you, on top of that, say you've got other collaborators who are going to come in and work on this, that it is a movie / game, but definitely a game, but that they're going to push boundaries. As shout out to Cog, I watched the Iron Lords, him and Addict's reactions. As Cog was saying multiple times, those Microsoft checks are cashing. This is a expensive project. Make no mistake about it. Backed by Microsoft.
Metahuman is definitely going to be able to alleviate some of that.
No, but getting Jordan Peele and other collaborators on board, bro, this is going to be expensive. Yeah. But again, big showing on one of the biggest stages of the year. Big deal for Xbox that this is now out in the wild and they're talking more about it. Don't know when we're going to see it. Don't know how long it's going to take. We speculated on last night's deal what this could be. Definitely psychological horror. Definitely, like I brought up, potentially something like CIA, MK Ultra type stuff where they're, tormenting people. How I want to remind people not to forget that Kojima's wants this connectedness between the world and his games and connecting people together. I think that's going to be a big part of the cloud usage here, how they incorporate this. Mav brought up and Jasper brought up that this could be episodic with the different collaborators coming in and putting their own twists and having the game evolve over time as each collaborator kind of comes in and does it. Maybe the audience, the gamers themselves, add to that by interacting with this game. When they're interacting, maybe that changes the game. There's a lot we don't know. Yeah. But I just think it was cool, and we would be remiss not mentioning it here as part of the Game Awards. Right, that was a big moment. It was a big moment.
It definitely was. I mean, I agree with you. If it ends up being a horror game, I'm not going to play it. So shout out to Kojima. And the only Kojima game that I really played and enjoyed like that was Phantom Pain. So, and people say that's not the greatest one. So, I mean, hey, it is what it is. Shout out to Metal Gear. Shout out to Kojima. Yeah. It is very interesting just to see him announce the game there, especially with his ties to Xbox and everything. Again, it was definitely a heavily Microsoft-driven show, come to find out. It seems like.
Oh. Look at this. Look at this. Ending the show as we're winding down. Steel. Look what happens. Look what happens, folks. It's been a hell of a show. Yes, a quick show. I find it very difficult right now to stop talking because, my God, we don't do this well. Steel and I like to talk, and we have so much more we could cover here, but that doesn't stop the subtrain, Steel. It doesn't stop the subtrain just because the show's ending, because why so serious? Like I said last night, we don't discriminate here. Why so serious? Bought himself a ticket to the Splitters on the subtrain, Steel. He comes in with a single bomb, which is no less important than the 20s, the 10s, the 5 bombs. He buys his own ticket aboard the hype train, the subtrain. It's rolling. Mach 2, because we are coming to the end of the show. Why so serious? Jumps on board with us, Steel. Love to see it. Welcome to the Splitters. Why so serious? And he also comes in with a super chat bomb of 5. That's right. Why so serious says, great show, guys. Thank you so much. Why so serious? We appreciate you and everybody else that joined us to this today for this abbreviated living split screen, very abbreviated living split screen. But we appreciate all of you. Now, like Steele said, We pushed the Series S giveaway till next week due to the abbreviated show. And Steele's going to get things right. We will be pumping up the show more this week. I'm definitely going to make a concerted effort to make sure that we get the word out. But next weekend, we will have that Series S giveaway. But thank you all for all the love and support. Again, not just the bombs. You know, that's a shtick. That's a joke. That's a play off of other things. It's never expected and always appreciated. And just your participation today, whether you just listened, whether you chatted in the chat, you know, whether you dropped a super chat or a sub, listen, all of you, all the same, love and respect to each and every one of you. This is why we do the show. We just got one of the greatest communities out there, man. Close-knit, tight community, shows up week in and week out. And we love you all. Thank you all. Appreciate that.
Shout out to the Sly Crow member for 3 months saying, what up, peeps? Throwing the fire in
Sly Crow.
And then shout out to Mick, the motherfucking click for the member for 4 months saying, sending them train emojis saying, let's go, motherfucker.
And because I didn't give it to Why So Serious, choo-choo, motherfuckers. Choo-choo. Let's go. Let's go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and wind it on down. I want to say greatly appreciate you all for tuning in today. Audio listeners, as usual, you'll probably end up getting this episode. It's probably going to be a lot higher quality than usual since it's a shorter show. So there is that, one positive. But nonetheless, yeah, we skipped out on This Day in Gaming and our upcoming games for the sake of time, because there was some other conversations that we needed to get into. So, but nonetheless, hopefully you enjoyed the show today. Y'all stay safe out there. You can find me, Steel Rain. That T is a 7 everywhere. Again, type it in Google. You will find that information. And I am considering jumping, like I mentioned in the beginning of the show, excuse me, I am going to be jumping back into Monster Hunter World at some point here soon. I got it on Xbox for those who are interested, so we can see about maybe running some games there. And I'm probably going to end up checking Lego out with my daughter here soon, so Lego Fortnite. We're going to get some runs in there and see how she feels. She's liking it so far. She's already asking me for a skin. Here we go. Shout out to Fortnite. Anyway, so much love to everybody out there. Y'all stay safe. But Pong, where can the beautiful people find you, and what do you got going on, sir?
Yes. Again, sending out all just positive vibes. You guys are some of the best in this community. Love you all. Thank you for being here on another episode of Living Split Screen, and sharing in this. I wish we did have more time. Again, if there was another week I could have picked for this, it definitely would not have been this week, because there's so much to get into about the TGAs and in the gaming goodness that we've got coming. But otherwise, you guys know the drill by now. Pong Soul on X, formerly known as Twitter. Pong Soul on the Xbox. I will not be on the Shop podcast tonight, but that does not mean that you don't show up, because the Shop podcast is the best way to end your Saturday night. Go find PTK Blam's channel. Join the Shop podcast, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Central Time. It's going to be PTK Blam. It's going to be Fuzzy. Mav is joining the crew tonight, and I wouldn't doubt that PTK throws up the bat signal for maybe somebody else too, since I won't be there. But man, what a way to end your Saturday night. Be there for all the good talk. They're going to be talking to TGAs, probably breaking it down even more than Steele and I could here on this abbreviated show. But be there for the Shop podcast next week. You know how it rolls. Double Barrel Gaming is the channel. Mr. Boomstick is the man. Every Tuesday, All Good Things Green, Xbox Factor podcast. Boom jumped into our co-stream. He said he was only good. Yeah. He said he was only going to give his initial thoughts, and then he was going to bounce because the wife had a headache. Mrs. Boomstick had a headache, was trying to sleep. But guess what happens to Boom? Boom's dead tired because that man does this, and he's retired. This is not his schedule. He stays for the entire show, but that's how he runs all of his shows. The man brings the energy 5 days a week, but Xbox Factor every Tuesday, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. Be there for that. And then, of course, Thursdays, Mav and I, after a month, this is so ridiculous. I can't believe it's been 1 month. Next week, we will finally have a normal PM in the PM as of right now. Finally, due to all the things going on, due to the co-stream, due to my situation, due to Thanksgiving, we haven't had a regular PM in the PM in a month. But next week, we will be there, PM in the PM, Fun Speculation Network, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time for that. And then, of course, Fridays, it's Xbox Ultimate back on the Fun Speculation Network. Great conversations last night with the fam. Go tune in that. If you already haven't heard, we covered the TGAs in detail. A lot of good conversation there. A lot of rants last night as well. So go check that out. But Xbox Ultimate every Friday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time on the Fun Speculation Network. Otherwise, folks, it's the golden age of gaming. We actually started, we've been starting to look ahead 24, 25 now. Bro, we are going to be, if the world doesn't end itself in some way, or the sun doesn't decide to devour us or something, gaming is this is peak, man. We are in for the next 3-4 years potentially of this level, 2023 level type gaming, year in, year out. Like, it's going to be crazy. So it's the golden age. Get out there, enjoy it this weekend. I hope you all have a great weekend. Play what you love what you play, and I'll talk to you all real soon. Steel, get us out of here, brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I want to say thank you for tuning into Living Split Screen today. We'll see you next week on episode. What episode was this today? I don't remember what today's episode was, but guess what? We'll see you next time. Much love, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all stay safe out there. Enjoy your evening of gaming, and let's see if I can get the episode number right here. It is episode 129. That means next week it is episode 130.
Love it. And don't forget, all you splitters out there, everybody who joins us, the goal remains 69 for the sub, so we don't have to advertise. We're on a permanent 69 goal here. So get ready, motherfuckers, to join the sub train. Choo choo, motherfuckers. Have a great weekend. 69 is the goal.
69. Ladies and gentlemen, much love. Y'all stay safe.